All right, Man of the Die Tribe, day 11 of 43. So we're pretty deep into this. Hopefully this is something you guys have been enjoying. Hopefully it's been challenging. Hopefully there's been a lot of small victories that you've been stacking up that's given you encouragement to continue. And I'm praying that these videos that Jarek and I have been doing every day have also been helpful. Definitely got some good feedback on the last one that I did, so I appreciate that. You guys sending those remarks. Today I wanted to just continue with what Jarek was talking about yesterday with this whole movement principle, but specifically talk about the walking, because sometimes people that are super into fitness, they try to make fun of people that walk, or they would say, walking's not a workout. And, at some level I would agree with them. I don't think you could just walk and consider it a workout unless you are completely unfit, and now that's actually building your fitness. But walking has been shown to improve overall health a ton. I'm not a huge research guy. I prefer principles more so than what research says, because I know you can really make anything you want happen if you figure out how to do a research study the way you want it. And who knows if they're actually telling the truth in research studies. But part of it is also us learning more about God's world and figuring out the way he made things, and how we're supposed to do things from what we would call the book of nature, right? Or natural revelation. So just to reference a few, there was a big study done in 2025 by, I believe it was Lancet Public Health, one of the bigger journals. And they looked at over 50 studies. So they did what's called a meta-analysis. Looked at 50 studies and compared people who walked 2,000 steps a day versus people who walk 7,000 steps a day. And what they shown was the people who walk 7,000 steps a day compared to the 2,000 had around a 50% lower chance of all-cause mortality, meaning any cause of death possible. These people that walk 7,000 steps a day died 50% less from all causes that we know of death. Cardiovascular deaths, it was around 50% also. Cardiovascular disease was around 25%. Cancer deaths was about 40%. And then you get into things like whether you get diabetes or not, whether you get dementia, which is really just diabetes of the brain, falls, all of this stuff was between 15 to 40% decrease chance if you were one of the people who walked 7 steps a day compared to 2,000. Then there's another study, I think this one was done 2024 maybe. They looked at people who walked 4,000 steps a day compared to 8,000 steps a day, and found something very similar, about 50% of decrease in all-cause mortality. And then if you went up to 12,000 steps a day, it went up to 65% decrease in all-cause mortality. Now, I don't think there's anything necessarily specific about walking itself that is the deal. It gets back to the principle that Jarek was talking about. It's movement, right? We weren't designed to sit and be sedentary all day. And the definition of sedentary really is, if you just want to use steps as a marker, if you were to get less than 3,000 steps a day, then you had a sedentary day. So, like he said, the point of this is not to look at your steps at the end of the day, and if you need 5,000, go for a really long walk. The hope is that you're moving all day long, but there is something to getting that 5,000 steps in at the end of the day. Because again, in research, when you compare somebody who's got that many steps in, their health outcomes are far better than the people who do not. So I would encourage you to continue doing that. It's also just something that helps with discipline, right? If you look at it at the end of the day and you say, hey, I don't have it, you go make it happen. That's what men do, right? They see something that has to be done and they take the responsibility and they go do it. And we don't just all of a sudden become those type of men. That takes training. So the little things like looking at a task for the day that you knew you needed to do and it's not done, and you don't say, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. You say, I'm going to go and make this happen. So I would continue to encourage you to do that. But like Jarek was saying, I also encourage you to not make that a task at the end of the day. If possible, be moving throughout the day. Another thing that I would add to this, there's a guy named Stan Efferding, and he kind of popularized the 10-minute walks. So ideally, if you could, if you're eating 3 meals a day, you would eat breakfast, you would go take a 10-minute walk, eat lunch, go take a 10-minute walk, eat dinner, go take a 10-minute walk. The dinner one is great because you can hopefully do it with your family, and this is a good time to spend time with your family as well. We just actually finished one of those, and I'm walking even more doing this. But the helpfulness in that is you just ate. We're not so much doing it right now because of the way we're eating. We're not really spiking our blood sugar, so therefore insulin doesn't need to do its job very much with the food that we're eating. But once we get into adding some more carbohydrate next week, and then for sure the week after, when we start to add in fruits, and then beyond, we start to add in the starches, and then we start to add in all the real foods. These things are going to spike blood sugar after we eat. Insulin's going to turn on, which is the normal way of doing it. But you can help that process. You can become more insulin sensitive, like I've been talking about, if you go and move and have muscle contractions right after you eat. So not go and, of course, run a mile or go do 100 burpees, right? That would probably be something that you would lose your dinner if you did that. But some sort of low intensity movement like walking that requires you to use muscle contraction, that's going to decrease what they call postprandial blood sugar, because your muscles are activating. And when your muscles activate, they actually take in sugar, and they don't require insulin to do that. Typically, your cells require insulin to grab a hold of the sugar and put them in. But when you are your muscles, they're contracting, they can do that without actually insulin. So that's another way we can become more metabolically flexible if we're moving our bodies more frequently throughout the day. But also, if you're doing it after you eat, you're kind of saving your body from having to use so much insulin to bring that blood sugar down to keep it balanced. So get the 10,000 steps in. Obviously, if you're looking at the research, the 7,000 is kind of, I would say, the bare minimum. The 12,000 has even more benefits. And people, of course, this used to be normal for us. We're doing it as a challenge. So hopefully it's becoming more normal for us to get that eventually, once we're even done with this challenge, still stay around this number. But people used to do this all the time. So it wasn't a big deal for people. And of course, they were much healthier than people are now. So hopefully that's just some motivation to continue doing what we're doing, have a better understanding of why we're doing it. With maybe if you don't want to take that walk, just remember it is drastically improving your health compared to not taking those steps. So as always, man, you guys are doing great. I'm thankful to be part of this. I am figuring out new ways to use fatty fruits. Hopefully you guys are doing the same. But I'm sure I'm on the same page as a lot of you guys, and I cannot wait for some fruit. But I'm not caving in. I'm ready to wait that, whatever it is, week and a half. But like I said in my last video, we have some things that hopefully are going to be something you can celebrate tomorrow. Jarek will, I guess Wednesday, Jarek will do the video on Wednesday and release those things. So I'm excited to see how you guys respond to that. All right, we'll see you soon.